One, two, three. We don't welcome everybody to Mom and Dad Talks. Our favorite two people are Mom and Dad, and right now we're gonna have a special rendition. I brought one of my good friends, Cynthia Pean. Did I get that right, Cynthia?
You got it right.
Yeah. That's my girl. We go way back. We're not gonna date our age here, real quick.
Oh God.
I mean, it's been that long. Seems like yesterday we left school.
It really does.
I'm like, dude, now I'm like, ancient. Okay, but we're not gonna go. We're gonna get depressed today. But Cynthia, we went to school together, and tell the audience, what do you originally go to school for?
I actually originally went to school. My major in undergrad was psychology.
Get out of here.
I was with Belvia Matthews and Magna James. Yes, psychology was my major. And I honestly, I think I just chose it. I didn't have any real plans for it, but who doesn't like to know how the brain works and how the mind works? So I think that's what drew me to it.
Yeah, and let me tell you, everybody who, if you know how the mind works, every one of my friends who has a psychology major has been very successful in life. And it's just crazy. Oh yeah, vice presidents and all kinds of stuff, because you understand human nature and know how to read people and understand where they're coming from, and it's just amazing. And well, so Todd, why are you bringing psychology on here right now? Well, we're going to change it just a little bit, folks.
Just a little bit.
Just a little bit. How did you get involved in culinary? I know you can throw down, but how did you get in the culinary skills here? Because I've got a lot of chefs out here.
It's a very simple story. God. I grew up, I'm a first generation American. My father is from Liberia, West Africa. My mother is from Guyana, South America. So I'm West Indian, West African, and food was it was a main character in our home. And raised in the Seventh-day Adventist tradition as well. We don't dance, we don't drink, we don't party. Literally everything revolves around food.
Yes.
Pop after church, fellowship Saturday night, who's making the veggie burgers? Everything is around food. So not only did I get it honestly from home and from my grandmother my great grandmother was a great cook. I grew up around food. And 2008 hit. I was an executive director for a nonprofit that provided scholarships to young girls from the inner city that were very, very bright, but had no money. And 2008 hit, we lost all of our funding. I lost my job. And my church at the time, Breath of Life Church in Inglewood, California, they were going through nominating committee. And anybody who's familiar with that dynamic, they call you up and they, tell you that there's a position that they want you to take. And for some reason, I do not know why, they asked me if I would be willing to do dining ministries. And I wasn't working. I had nothing else to do. I was like, I'll do it. And let me tell you, I quickly realized how much I enjoyed cooking for groups of people. I really got real joy out of it. Not only the cooking aspect, but that I was cooking healthy meals that just so happened to be delicious.
Come on.
And so that is what kind of got my mind thinking, maybe you need to pivot, and this is what you need to do. Now, let me say this very quickly. Up until that point, I will be very honest. I had a few different jobs that I talked myself into because I'm good with the chat, with the banter. But I was never truly committed to those jobs. I was just doing it because I needed to pay my bills. But when cooking came around, it actually fulfilled me. I had a job previous to the one that hit with 2008 with an organization called Mending Kids International, where we brought children from around the world to LA for life-saving operations. Periodically, I would fly and pick up these kids, Uganda, Ecuador, all these different places. And I always found myself in the kitchen of these homes.
Wow.
I was always taken in by, what are you cooking? Why are you doing it that way? I've always been a big culture person too. So I think all along I was getting these little things that were preparing me, but I didn't realize it. so that when I stepped into it, it felt like this is your calling, this is your purpose. And that's where it started.
And folk, Cynthia can throw down. So if we're gonna get her information. So if you need her services, you're gonna have that. But it's healthy. Get the 2-for-1 special. Mm-hmm. And so in this journey that you did, your passion started to come out. What made you just we know God was in it, and that's the main important thing. But what all of a sudden just clicked for you? Say, you know what, I'm gonna make this a business, because we've got a lot of women struggling out there. Like, I want to pivot. I'm not happy. What was that click that finally just said, boom, I'm going to just do this? And how did you start cooking? We're going to talk a little bit, about your journey in here a little bit. What was that thing?
I liken it to when I met my husband, the man who would be my husband. Mm-hmm. It was a few years after that, but I just knew. There was just this, because I'm telling you, I had great opportunities. At one point, I was sitting across from Madonna, the artist, interviewing to be the executive director for her Raising Malawi, this organization she had out of Malawi. Mm-hmm. I worked for Mending Kids. I would go to Mel and Robin Gibson's house for dinner regularly. Mm-hmm. I had been around all these big name people, and it was great. It was fun. Yeah. But it didn't really satisfy me. Yeah. And there was just something about when I cooked for people, mm-hmm. what I realized is that my love language is acts of service.
Come on.
And cooking for people plays into acts of service. I truly like preparing something for someone that nourishes them, mm-hmm. that makes them happy. It just speaks to my spirit, because that's the one thing you can do that becomes one with somebody.
Yes.
Is preparing food that goes into their body, mm-hmm. that gives them sustenance. And so I'm very serious and very passionate about that, because I don't want to put poison into your body. Yeah. If this is an act of service and I'm showing my love language, that means that what I'm giving you is going to be something that is going to make you a better person, and it's going to contribute to your health, not your demise. Ooh. And I think all those things wrapped up and together is what I had when I started cooking.
And just a side note, this is about Cynthia here, but we started a church, my wife and I, here in Virginia Beach. Oh. And the main thing that made that church grow, number one, is God, but God showed us something: food. Tasty food. Mm-hmm. That was the fastest thing that grew that church. And I just want to tell people, if you want to reach people, it's easy to reach them with food. You can get enemies together when you have food.
It's fellowship. It is you can destroy boundaries with food. That's a commonality. Yeah. If you put something tasty in front of somebody, they may not have liked the conversation before, but they'll sit next to you and they will eat that meal, and they'll let go of their hangups, and they'll let go of their biases and stuff. It is that thing more than music.
Yeah.
Because we can have different tastes, but if there's something that somebody tastes that gives them that ratatouille moment, that takes them back to something that their mother made, or it's like a hug to their belly, you're in good hands.
And then, folks, let me tell you something. I saw your cooking show up there, and like I said, you do a very good job of putting the show on there if you have a chance to watch it. And like I said, it's very helpful, but it's tasty. Mm-hmm. And that's the thing that people don't understand. You can make something helpful and tasty. I mean,
absolutely.
I grew up where, for some reason, people thought that healthy was nasty. We always ran into that, and that's a shame, because it's very tasty. It's very organic. But like I said, I mean, at the end of the day, you can't beat that. You know what I'm
saying? And people are becoming more and more aware of it's one of the other. Either what you're eating is feeding your body and your cells, and it's healing you from within, and it's giving you all the nutrition, the nutrient dense things that you need, or It's killing you. It's putting cholesterol in your system. It's hardening in your arteries. It's creating high blood pressure, all these inflammatory diseases. Every single inflammatory disease is tied to bad diet.
Come on. And so, folks, you know,
cancer, heart issues, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, all of those things are diet related. They're exacerbated by diet. And those are the things that people of color are suffering from primarily, inflammatory diseases.
I'm suffering from it right now. So, but you know, you can change your diet to eat. And like I said, I encourage people to change their diet, especially people of color.
Absolutely.
You know, we get into our zones and we said we're going to die. And then when it comes to chance of dying, then we have to change our habit. And then we get into that whole thing of trying to change our diet to eat better. It's the craziest thing. I remember when I had to change my diet because I just, you know, had bad habits. You know,
easy. It's very easy. Convenience.
Yeah. I mean, and so we fall into that trap. But like I said, most of the stuff that you can do, and like I said, we'll continue on the interview for other stuff. But I wanted to tell the audience, most of the stuff that you can do, I believe, you can still make tasty, but healthy. And why don't people make that transition?
Well, you know, here's one thing that people should know. Every 7 to 10 days, your taste buds regenerate. So what does that mean? That means that if you continue eating something, eventually you will adapt to it. You can retrain your taste buds. The American diet is heavily salted, heavily sugared, and a lot of fat, a lot of deep fried this and that. I had a friend who visited from Uganda. And she said, everything in this country is so sweet and so salty. And I grew up in it, so I didn't realize it till I tasted Ugandan food that tasted so earthy because it was so pure. And so when you're eating things that are hyper seasoned and hyper salted, a piece of fruit is not going to be as attractive.
Yeah.
Because it's going to seem like, oh, it's not salty enough. That's why people put salt and stuff on fruit and all those kinds of things. But you can retrain your palate. So what I encourage people to do, and I've had to do this myself, when I'm at the store and I'm in the checkout line at Sprouts, they'll have cookies and stuff like that. While I'm shopping, I pick up an apple. I pick up an apple because I'm training myself to reach for health as opposed to reaching for death.
Yeah.
And if I eat an apple, it's low in calories, it's high in fiber, it's filling because it's high in fiber, and it's not going to do anything negative to my body. Whereas if I eat a cookie, it's full of empty calories. I may get immediate satisfaction. My insulin levels shoot up, but then they come crashing back down and it starts all over again. So you have to be very vigilant and conscious about what your triggers are and habits that you've gotten in. I'm a private chef. So I'm constantly in the grocery store, and my clients demand organic, high-end foods. So I'm always in these stores that have all these specialty things.
Yeah.
And I had gotten into a habit of, I'll just try this out. And it amounted to every single day I was treating myself to something. And eventually the thighs got bigger, the behind got wider. And it seemed like it happened overnight, and it didn't. You know, it's because I was daily pushing the envelope. So, you know, it's those little things that can add up negatively or positively. Because when I started being aware of that, and I started replacing it with apples or banana or something like that, everything started to come back down.
Yeah. Yeah, I was pushing about my dad's size 250 at one point. Looking like
really?
Oh yeah, it was bad. We ain't talking about me, but
wow.
Yeah, it was horrible. I had to had surgery actually changed what I had to do up here right now, and unfortunately, it's because my gallbladder went crazy. And I said I'm going to eat healthier after that, and so I can't eat fried food. I'm getting too personal with my stuff out there.
Yeah. Well, I had my gallbladder removed as well, and they told me that I had to avoid fatty foods because I would have issues. Yeah.
And so, you know, for those of you who had it causes some issues. So, you know, I know we're hitting it up here, but, you know, how, you know, because you come from a family, your brother's famous, if people don't know who your brother is.
He's somewhat, he's famous.
It's always similar.
I'm trying to be famous, but yes, he's famous.
Yeah. You know how it goes. If you don't know, she's related to Alvin Chea of Take Six there. But really what I'm trying to get at here is this. How did you get involved with cooking for celebrities? Tell our audience, what was that journey like? I mean, how did it happen?
Again, God, but I will say, I'm glad that you brought up my brother. I always point to Take Six. I always point to Shalea Fraser McDonald, and I point to Stevie Mackey. These are people that I know personally that have focused and practiced excellence. That's all that it comes. It's not complicated. Seest thou a man who is diligent in his work, and he will stand before kings and not mean men.
Come on.
That brings tears to my eyes, Todd, because that is a verse and it is true. If you focus on being excellent, you don't have to plot about how am I going to get in front of this person? How is this opportunity going to happen? When you are excellent in what God has given you to do, those opportunities will. I have had opportunities that have come towards me that don't make any sense. And Todd, I'm a great cook.
Yes.
But I'm not that great. It's God who has seen my diligence and my pursuit of excellence, and he has rewarded me. And so anybody who's out there, I don't care what career you're in, pursue excellence and you will see the reward. You will stand before kings and not mean men.
Woo! Folk, with that in mind, I'm going to bring Cynthia back because she has more than that. I mean, because your life, I know to the minute here, but Cynthia, I got to have you back. And I know that,
I would love to.
We're going to have you back on the show. And like I said, for those of you, those of you who listen to 98 Jam, we're going to hear her again. We should have more time to talk about her journey in life and stuff like that. But, especially about healthy stuff, especially about eating, especially about being excellent. You know what I'm saying? Cynthia, like I said, we've been to school together for a long time, and changing your whatever you're trying to do. Life is full of changes. Life is full of going out and finding your purpose. And once you find your purpose, you know exactly what you're going to do.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you need to pursue that doggedly. Stay on your knees in prayer. Think about the things that come to you naturally and figure out how you can monetize something like that. Because if it's something that comes to you naturally, you're more likely to pursue it excellently and not get discouraged because you're doing it irrespective.
Yeah.
And each of us has something that God has given us to do. And once we figure out what that thing is and we pursue it in excellence, you couldn't write a better story.
And folk, I'm going to leave our show on that one. Excellence. And God's going to bless you. So next time we'll see you on Mom and Dad Talks. Thank you, Cynthia.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.